Oneilia Bryan-Passley, founder and creative director at Contrax Creative Studios, and...
So, I am Daniel Passley. I'm the husband of the founder and CEO of Contract Creative Studios. I'm also a communication specialist, a writer, a master of ceremonies, and anything communication, I'm with it.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, that's us.
Okay, cool. Yeah. He's like a powerhouse. Like, honestly, this is our powerhouse right here, so no joke.
Yeah, well, we're called Paul Couple in college. Yeah.
Were there any fears really and concerns when you first learned about this coronavirus back in 2020?
You go first.
At first, no. I just really thought it would have been like the flu. As a matter of fact, I didn't even think it would get here. Just like when Ebola was, it never reached, I just thought we would never be affected. So I really had no fear. I was shipped into a business sense. Okay, if it does get here, what can I do? But I never acted on it because some parts of me just did not believe it would ever get here and get this far.
Well, for me, when I saw it on the news in January, I thought, as usual, when you see some of these things in international news, it wouldn't affect Jamaica per se. And but when it really resonated with me was when I went to California in January, and coming back home, I saw some persons in masks. And at that time, I said, that's kind of weird. I think they're going a little bit too extreme. But 2 months later,
it's now the norm,
you heard it was in Jamaica, and it was a mad rush. And I was a little bit concerned now. And I remember, babe, you had a little bit of a shock.
I did.
Yeah, you had a little bit of shock. She was really worried about me. I was worried as well because I was wondering, how serious is this? Because I'm hearing that people are dying from it. So I said, okay, it's a contagious flu that can kill you instantly.
It became real at that point.
Yeah.
And as a creative, I am self-employed, and my thing is, will I survive? Will my business survive? What will happen to persons no longer wanting to do shoots? Everyone is staying at home, businesses there. Everybody's keeping their money to themselves.
Yeah.
And I honestly did not think I would make it. Contracts would make it. I really thought we would just pack up and say goodbye to the world.
And for me, I have a 9 to 5. Even persons working in corporate, or should I say corporate creatives, were affected because a lot of the campaigns or events or strategies and initiatives that they'd want, we got slashed in budget. A lot of budget cuts. Persons in marketing, public relations, social media management. A lot really affected those corporate creatives as well.
And persons losing their jobs.
Getting pay cuts. God has been good that I still have a job, but in terms of the volume of work that we usually do at my workplace, it was severely affected. So, for both entrepreneurial creatives and corporate creatives,
we're both affected drastically. It's so easy to sink in that state where you evaluate, what am I going to do? Where am I going to get food? What's the rent? For me, I think what held me up mostly was my faith. Believing that God will provide, and every month they come closer and closer to the due dates, the light, the water. For my business, we had subscriptions to pay for, and an assistant to pay. And every month before the 25th, I realized I was not getting paid. I had to lay off my assistant for a couple months. I had to lay off on my subscriptions. I never had Adobe for a while.
And we had a wedding.
And we were in the midst of planning a wedding, a whole wedding. We were getting married.
Talk about that. Because planning a whole wedding in a pandemic,
I mean, it was a blessing and a curse. It was a blessing and a curse. A blessing because we got to cut the budget so low, riding on the back of COVID-19. The guest list, what we did do a reception. We did something really intimate and small. So, I mean, COVID provided us with the perfect reason why we had to cut. So that was good. However, we wanted everyone to be able to be there and celebrate with us. We wanted that big, because we're both from big families.
Yeah.
And
It was really hard to cut down the list.
yeah, close
Very, very
aunts,
hard.
uncles, cousins, they had to understand that. I mean, we had no choice. It was COVID-19, but we really wanted to not push back on our love, because the thing about it that keeps us sane is understanding that life must go on.
Yeah.
You have to still work, you have to still try to survive. Sitting down and worrying and being in that negative mindset only brings you deeper into depression. So we still wanted to get married, we still wanted to start a life together, despite how unsure it may seem.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, it was truly a blessing, because this virtual space has grown so much, because we had up to 60 persons on Zoom, and your sister Carrie was really good in emceeing the whole virtual experience, and persons felt as if they were still there, and that really allowed us to be a little bit more creative in how we got certain things done, in terms of the floors that you coordinated with, and some other aspects.
Yeah, we had to.
It allowed for more, for her creativity
and hidden talents
to go into
did.
other areas, and it blossomed.
I think for COVID-19, you have two choices. You can stay in a state of depression and complain about it and be a slave to fear, or you can take it as a lesson to learn from. I've seen where even with business, I had to adjust how I do things, what I offer as services. I am a photographer, graphic designer, but I found myself doing assistant PA on sets for other photographers, as a photographer, because the income for me wasn't there. I had to go hold the reflector for someone else. And if you can't put your ego aside and humble yourself and take the struggle as a lesson to grow, then you'll forever be stuck in a negative mindset. So I think COVID-19 for us, we have learned so much about ourselves. Even what I used to do for business, it has opened a whole floor of what I was doing wrong over the years. It gave me the time to adjust that. So I went back to school. I did a course in micro entrepreneurship. I did some online courses in digital media. I took that time to better myself. I read books on how to love yourself and be better at how you speak to yourself. Because how we speak to ourselves during the hard times affect how soon we get out of that mental rut. So we have to take the time now that we have to better ourselves and not just be stuck where we are.
And it's important to not be stuck where you are and to seek help, because even myself, I went through a state of anxiety. I wouldn't really call it depression, but severe anxiety. And it may not have been maybe too much linked to COVID, but it could be linked with work, COVID, wedding, and the future, what the future holds. I had sometimes had some panic attacks I never thought I'd have, but when you have somebody in your corner, somebody who understands you, she told me seek help, and I sought help, and just talking to somebody who's unattached, a professional, a therapist, he really allowed me to really share all my thoughts that were up here. And when I was able to just talk and offload, it really helped. And you
weren't crazy, because that goes back to the issue with mental health in Jamaica. You seek help, you are a mad person. It's okay as creatives, it's okay for us to seek help. We are so used to being that solution, that voice for someone else, their thoughts. We bring their ideas to life. But what about us? We need help too. It's okay to talk to somebody, to seek help, to collab with, I wouldn't even say a competition, because for me in this creative industry, there really shouldn't be necessarily a competition. We should really be leaning on each other, helping each other to grow, and being a community. So just to have a community around you helps you a whole lot.
And that's why I'm applauding what Shanice is doing, Fox Production is doing in creating this space for creatives to share their stories and, being each other's brothers keeper, right?
Yeah.
It's really good.
Because, while I was in that state of depression, loneliness was one of the main things. Not loneliness in terms of friendship or family, but I thought I was the only creative going through that struggle. I really, really did. Social media is a thing. Looking through Instagram and seeing everybody posting, I'm like, am I alone not getting a job? God, am I alone not earning an invoice? Like, I felt like such a failure. Like, what did I do wrong? I'm the only one failing. Did I not prepare for this? Was I the only one who did not prepare for this pandemic properly? What was my structure just weak? The foundation was just weak from the beginning. Why am I the only one failing? I had no idea that other creatives were also struggling like me. And I think if I knew if there was an outlet like Shanice is doing now for us to really talk, I would even say if there were an outlet, because we could if we wanted to share. But I think no one was really sharing their real struggles. Everyone was just trying to look like everything is okay. We're still putting out content even though if it's not paid or not. We want it to look like, something's still a go on. And for persons looking
We're still winning.
Yeah, like we're still winning. And for a lot of us, I really thought that I was the only one and I was just the problem. I really thought I was just the problem. And that made me feel even worse than how I felt.
And even for me, I was pushed out of my comfort zone because I'm somebody who sometimes is really comfortable in just playing it safe. And this year I was given the opportunity to do a lot more writing on a freelance, professional basis, and that really stretched me because I now have to really structure my time and various roles that I have, from 9 to 5, then to get home, be a supportive husband, and then write and meet deadlines, and then still have enough time to about life in all of this. But it showed me that you take the opportunities that you can get and you run with it, and use this time now to go into areas that you've never thought of going into.
Yeah.
Stretch your creativity to various avenues that you've never thought would ever happen, and
use your passions as profit. Creatives, let's do that.
Yeah.
Because even though I'm a graphic designer and photographer, I painted, and I kept all of those to myself and my family members, my husband. You must, show them. It's just for me. And during COVID-19, I had to paint and sell them because, girl, I had to make money. And it's not about just doing it for the money, but God has gifted us our talents to profit us. I've heard a pastor, I think it's T.D. Jakes, but he said a lot of times we pray, say, God, I need a table. But God ain't in carpentry anymore. He does not make tables. He gives us the tree, He gives us the raw materials, and it's for us to use our talents to make that table. Yeah. So as creatives, I'm speaking specifically for us creatives, a lot of times we have these gifts and we keep it to ourselves, whether it's fear of judgment on social media, whether you think no one will appreciate you or like it, do it nonetheless and know your worth and charge for your worth. Even though it's COVID-19, we should not drop our standards for anybody.
Yeah, and even I would say for corporate creatives, persons who work in PR, marketing, or digital media management, use the budget cuts to stretch yourself in getting a creative space. and collaborate with your team at work to see how best you can bring certain of your strategies to life. It's not all the time you'll be able to outsource. Now you really do need to lock in on how we can add value for the corporation with the little that we have. And then coming into maybe in the new financial year 2021, or depends on where you work, have a strong justification for hiring suppliers, for hiring creatives, because at the end of the day, your CEOs, the persons from the C-suite, they need to understand the value that you as a corporate creative bring to the company.
Closing remarks? To my freelance creatives, to my entrepreneurs, business owners, I would say try your best to add value. We have lived in a place that things holding back information is the right thing to do, and you can share your process, you can give advice because you're gonna no, I'm gonna grow my competition. It's fine. Share value, talk about, teach people, help them to understand the value that you have, why they need you, and collaborate with your other creatives. Just expand, act out on all your crazy ideas. All those things that person say it was impossible. Do them. Have no limits on your creativity. Just get out there and do it nonetheless. If you don't have a fancy camera or gear, do it nonetheless. It does not matter. As long as you're practicing your skills, use this time to grow who you are, and don't forget your mental health. Read a book, talk to somebody, ensure, pray, sing some songs, let go negative people and friendships. Just ensure that you're in a positive mindset and you're growing as a creative.
I would say be bold. In everything that you're doing now, be bold. To our corporate creatives, I know that it may seem a little bit daunting to have to justify why you're doing this with this small budget, but you have to be bold. You write a very good brief or very good memo of why you need to execute that strategy, and go out and do it. And if you get knocked down the first time, still learn certain soft skills of negotiation and persuasion, because it will help you. And I'll also implore persons in the corporate space or creatives to continue to hone your skills. Continue to learn from various online sources, do a course, and refine those skills and step out into freelancing as well. And because sometimes we can understand that the various policies of corporate can sometimes drown out your creativity of even why you went into the field. So utilize the time to be bold in corporate space, but also freelance in your free time as well, so that you can feel a sense of accomplishment and invest in learning and honing your skills.
Yeah. And hire us freelance creators.
Yeah.